Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another exciting edition of Two Men in Black and White and Honest Conversation. And let's be honest today, Brock. Wow, the State of the Union sucks. That's coming up tomorrow. But man, these town halls are out of hand, right? USAID programs halted, heavily impacting red districts. That's what's on my mind today. What's bugging you?
Well, I'm just I'm just flabbergasted that we're going through with the 25% tariffs against
Uh,
Canada and Mexico. When they got delayed, I really thought it was okay, this is a bluster and not something that's really going to get implemented because there's no value in it.
right.
Like it makes no sense. So I actually thought it was just going to be another one of Trump's bullshit things he said on the campaign trail. But this is the one that he's going to follow through on. And the beauty, like great football coach Bill Parcells would say, you are what the scoreboard says you are, right? So as Trump's speaking about the tariffs today, they're showing the Dow Jones and the NASDAQ and the US stock markets just tanking in real time as he reinforces that these tariffs are going to
Oh,
get kicked in tomorrow. So the
okay.
Nasdaq was down like 3% today. So the
So,
fine, yeah.
yeah, no, I'm just saying that the market didn't react positively to the news.
Auto executives out saying that cars are going to go up by $11,000 unless
Nice.
they peel these back. Just an extra 10K tacked on to all the auto purchases.
Start calling it the
And
Trump tax.
yeah, so in real time, so basically the markets now are down 5% since the Trump inauguration, which isn't tragic, right? And the business leaders have tried to hang in there and sane wash his idiocy and pretend like things weren't going to get that bad. But now, the markets have a life of their own. You can only manipulate them for so long and so much. And one of my favorite lines from Wall Street when I was there was that the stock market in the short term, it's a voting machine. In the long term, it's a weighing machine. Meaning
Mm,
long term value is like means needs to be created and is
right,
real. But in the short term fluctuations, the market just goes off of sentiment and
right.
confidence in what's going to happen in the future. And there's no doubt that the investing public is losing confidence in Trump. And even with the huge tax cuts they're going to get, they're still worried, despite the fact that all this money is going to flow their way.
Right.
They're, smarter minds are starting to pull chips off the table and not want to invest in America. Imagine that.
Wow. Brock, this is your lane, baby. So help me out. As Yogi Berra used to say, it's getting late early. So let's figure out. Let's not talk about the 1%, right? Let's talk about everyday Americans and how this is going to hit their pockets. It's not just red supermarkets where the blue ones have the good prices. It's all of us are going to get hit in the purse strings. So where are people going to feel it first? We can do without a new vehicle, right? Or we can put it off until prices maybe till the market corrects, maybe, depending on how bad a shape your car is in. But what are the tangible
Okay, housing's going to be a big problem, right? Because we're getting lumber from Canada, so housing's an issue. So now the cost of already out of reach for most people housing, but even like you want to have a new deck and anything that's home improvement, prices are going to go up. So people will
right,
probably just go without that, right? Because you can go
right,
without that maybe for a period of time. Food prices are going to go up. Certain items are just going to be flat out more expensive. Like, don't even think about getting the guacamole along with the chips at the local restaurant,
right,
right? Because guacamole is going to be like, $12 for that little tube that comes, right? That and some other things along those lines. But interestingly, also, like the price of oil is going up because OPEC's rolling out. And like, so that hits everybody, right? That means gas prices, kind of stay higher, go higher, heating costs, stay up. It's still cold here in the Northeast. So we're still cranking the heating costs going up. So it's everyday items. You're not going to be able to navigate around it.
right.
So it's going to
This
hit
is
people in the day to day, but also that white guy, that middle America, not wealthy 1%, but definitely that top 20% white guy in the suburbs, that Westchester County guy. That 401k is the vision of future wealth, of what the rest of their life is going to look like, right?
right.
So when the markets take a hit, and they haven't taken a hit in 10 years. Like we've
Right.
been on a historic run here,
Right.
and that's what they call the wealth effect. When people start feeling less wealthy because they are less wealthy on paper, even if that's money they're not going to tap into till they're 65 or so, they feel less wealthy. You start pulling back naturally, you don't spend as much. And all these things have a ripple effect to create a recession. And then consumer confidence goes down and everything plays on itself. And that's where economies go into decline. And I feel like
Right.
it's like you said, it got late early, right?
Right.
34 days into this, but whatever it is, 36 days. I mean, and there's already a loss of confidence in American economy.
Yeah, and there was already a request for Trump to resign in the New York Times. Did you see that full page ad that was taken?
Yeah, guy
Oh,
put out
yeah.
an ad.
Yeah, guy
He
put out
got a
an
hefty,
ad
he got a
asking
hefty
for
check.
funds. Yeah, so what do we do as regular consumers, right? Like, what's the percentage of Americans in the stock market? Like, most Americans are not playing the stock market, right? It's only the wealthiest, what, top third, maybe 67% of us are not in the stock market game, but that top one third, they're going to feel the pinch. And I think, Brock, those are a lot of the people we're seeing at some of these town halls because these are red districts. And, this is impacting their jobs, their corporation. We saw the ice effect. I mean, there were housing companies in Florida who weren't getting workers to show up, right? Because they were too scared to come because they might get
Mark,
scooped.
I don't think and I'm guessing here because I don't know who the hell was in that room in Kansas or in Texas, right?
Right.
I don't think it was people with big 401ks. I think it was people who
Okay.
were worried about their social security and their Medicaid, and that's the people that come out first because they're in the most fear. So that's the white people that show up first, not the wealthiest white people. They'll do it over the phone and in a back room, in a smoky back room. The 401k is the wealthier white person
Right.
who's really living comfortably, who is used to being able to kind of pull the strings. And definitely you weren't a one percenter, but you were riding the coattails of what was good for the stock market was good for you also. I don't think that
Okay.
person is out and about yet because the market's only down 5%.
Okay.
Market craters, you start hearing the screams from Wall Street. If CNBC turns on Trump,
Right.
then
Then you know it's
then
a problem.
you've lost the affluent white person. And for
Yeah.
now, guys like Larry Kudlow are still on TV today because now he's not in the administration this time. He's back on TV blaming Biden, saying, "Oh, the Biden economy was on fumes, and the Biden economy was." So they're still blaming Biden.
Right.
So okay, 36 days in, you can still maybe you can get away with that bullshit, but you can't get away with that.
Right.
3 6 months in. I
I,
mean,
s- I
they'll
saw,
try it, but people stop remembering who the last
right.
guy was.
I saw an awesome meme of a picture with Joe Biden with his sunglasses on and an ice cream cone. And the meme said, I'm just waiting to see how much of this is my fault. Right? Because it's always, oh,
Hillary's getting
Biden
blamed.
administration.
Obama's still getting blamed for shit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they'll try it for 4 years, but it doesn't resonate as strongly as certainly other messages. So
No, absolutely not. And that's a great point too, because, now how do they reverse this messaging, right? I mean, you got the Reagan Republicans, the people old enough to remember Ronald Reagan, and now we're siding and voting with the likes of Kim Jong-un, Vladimir Putin, and all that President Xi. We're with dictators, we're with autocrats, right? And we've got an oligarchy ruling class. Like, so, we are not the go-to anymore. European allies lining up their chips to figure out what they've got to do to stop Putin from annexing the entire continent, right? So, I mean, it's all hands on deck in Europe, and nobody's looking to the US, and it's going to cost us. Now, Brock, correct me if I'm wrong, but weren't we in the business of selling weapons? Weren't we in the business of selling military supplies?
big business. It's big
Big
business.
business.
Every spy thriller, right? Every spy thriller movie and all that based around DC, it's always some nefarious arms dealer, defense contractor behind the scenes pulling the strings because, they're just raking in money selling, equipment both to our ever increasing defense budget and selling to the world.
Right.
And now Europe's saying, hey, we're going to start investing in our own defense industries and we're going to start buying from each other. I mean, the economy of Virginia is going to tank right there, right? Like that's
Wow.
the entire suburbs of Virginia is all defense
That's
contractors and the
contracting. Yep.
consultants that surround them. European defense stocks are going up
Through the
significantly.
roof.
What are our industries thinking? What are they saying to their lobbyists going into, DC every day to make sure that their coffers are full?
Right.
They can't be
Well,
happy with it. They'll probably
yeah.
never, they'll be the last to say something publicly, though.
Well, at least we deported 37,000 people the first month.
But we did.
But how does that help us? How does that help us? Right? Because the others are not making life difficult for people out there in that coffee shop in Iowa, in that coffee shop in Kansas, in that coffee shop in Montana, right? But these federal government cuts are when you see an upside down flag in our national parks, meaning America is under distress, we've got a problem. That's sacred ground. Those national parks are sacred ground. And we've got a flag flying. I think it's top of Mount Capitan. And it's like, whoa, like what are we doing to ourselves? And see, and this was the plan all along. Remember, Vladimir Putin has always said he was going to destroy America and would never have to fire a single bullet. And he's right.
He's got a regime in place to do it. So,
Yep.
as food prices go up with the tariffs, you would think that that would be good for the U.S. farmers, and therefore they would need the workers to produce more because now they have an opportunity, apparently, to produce more domestically because clearly a lot of them have lost some of their international markets. And you're saying there's some kicking and screaming in your neighborhood about the loss of international markets for our
Yeah.
growers.
USAID, Georgia, we grow something down here called peaches and peanuts. And I don't know if anybody's ever had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, but peanut butter is huge industry in Georgia. And now we've got companies, this particular company from Fitzgerald, Georgia, Mark Moore, the CEO, is saying that every one of those packets on them has printing saying from the American people, USAID. And if he doesn't deliver it through those contracts, he can't sell it. Right. So now all those programs have been shut down. We've got roughly by conservative estimates about $500 million worth of food products sitting in storage facilities around the country that may probably go to waste. Most probably is going to go to waste because of these stupid. Now, if you're looking for waste and fraud, tell me something. How are we saving money by letting $500 million worth of perishables go to waste and have to be thrown in the garbage? Who's going to eat that loss? American farmers.
Yeah, and that's
Again,
just that's a customer that's gone. That's a percentage of your revenue stream that's just down and unplanned for, and you never could account for it. So now they're just going to have to retrench and downsize if they can. And if they can't, and they got loans to pay, and I mean, it's a cycle that they're going to go into, and it's just going to be more painful. But I imagine it's a white-owned business. I can't imagine, they're probably love, Kemp, Governor Kemp, and they're all for the voter suppression and all the other stuff going on down there. But now it's impacting them, right? To do your job. They'll be the ones yelling, do your job at their local
right.
congressman because their local congressman did not insulate them from the, the
The rat.
destruction of America. They were
Right.
supposed to be okay. And Elon Musk and his team doesn't know how to connect the dots or didn't care.
Yep.
And they
Which is
got their arm sliced off.
which is why the MAGA crowd is perfect, for what Elon and or Leon and Trump are doing, right? Because most of MAGA, obviously, from the comments that we've seen for the last 8 years on social media, they don't have a global view. They don't have a global perspective. They don't understand empathy. They don't know what it's like to lend a helping hand. These peanut butter packets, right? Save lives. They're 500 calories each, right? This is therapeutic food to save. They don't understand that there is so much world hunger out there. And the US was filling the gap,
Yeah, we're solving it. Yeah.
filling the gap. Right? So this wasn't waste. This wasn't fraud. This wasn't somebody, selling yachts and motorboats and with jet skis behind them, you know, for personal gain. This is Leon's clear takeover and coup of the United States government so he can enrich himself through his robotic products, right? Most of which, suck. We saw Rachel Maddow in his armored vehicle, get a rock thrown through the armored glass, right? The thing doesn't even work. It's stuck in snow. The thing is garbage, plus it looks like hell. Right? I mean, I wouldn't drive that thing to a funeral. I mean, it's ugly. It's flat out ugly. It's fugly is what it
Yeah.
is.
But the thing is, even if you don't care about other people, starvation and hunger globally creates instability,
No doubt.
right? So we were feeding people, even if it's totally cynical, we were feeding people and we are creating greater stability in the world because of that. And a more stable world benefits who? Benefits America because
Right.
we're on top of the heap, making more money than anyone else, living the highest quality of life in the world. And all these programs, they weren't put in place because we're good people. All
Right.
these programs ultimately circle back and benefit the United States and the United States people and the United States economy. And
Oh,
we just broken these bonds one by one in the name of saving money, and it's just not working.
and Brock, you know what a great example is? And I forget where the funds came from to back up the project, but the operation that led to the movie Black Hawk Down in Somalia. Remember the instability that was created there because of a food shortage and the food. I mean, it turned into a nightmare, which Bill Clinton suffered for politically, right? Because he was blamed for it. But it's that kind of instability in regions that, the MAGA crowd doesn't even begin to understand the geopolitical reverb that comes with situations like that, right? Because they have no worldview. They don't understand global partnerships. They don't understand why we need to make nice with Canada, even though they see the avocados from Mexico commercial, right? They think those avocados just automatically show up here. Mexico has a bunch of other global partners they can send their avocados to, and they can add another 25%, right? And then what happens? Chipotle now has to add the cost of their goods to the consumer, right? And then fruit, all the fruit we get that come, and I lived in Texas, so I know how much fruit came from Mexico, a ton of it, and it was really damn good fruit. And so now, you're not going to be able to afford that in your carriage anymore. And so, we need white America to stand up and say, hold on a second. The American dream is escaping even us now because that's what's happening. How many 180, $200,000 jobs are out there? I mean, I'm sure there's more than there were, 20 years ago because of the IT sector. But geez, everybody can't be making two and a
Yeah,
quarter,
less now. Of
50.
of,
Yeah,
of all the behavior of white MAGA, the farmers surprise me the most because it's never been a business like independent farmers, right? It's
right,
you're always kind of fighting for your turf and survival. They know who their customers are. They
right,
know the economics of their business. They know that what Trump 2.0 was going to implement, Project 2025, was going to have a negative ripple effect for them. They're screaming and yelling about deporting, illegal citizens, yet they employ them more than anyone else, right? Because they
right.
don't have anyone else who's going to work their farms. And even with all those things lined up, with all that knowledge in front of them, they vote MAGA up and down the line.
Ah,
And
scary.
and now it kind of hits them in the face. So there they are in Kansas, there they are in Texas, now here they are in Georgia, screaming and yelling. at their own team because they weren't insulated from
Right.
going after the others. So it's really
Right.
hard to conjure up any sympathy for them. I mean,
No
it's
doubt.
kind of it's comical to watch, but it's happening so economy wide, and the stock market price, for better or worse, it's our scoreboard, right?
Right.
It's the collective world's moneyed people's bet on what the future earning streams are going to look like from American business, really global
Right.
business, but it's still mostly America, right? In the stock, New York Stock Exchange, the Dow Jones and or the Nasdaq, and
Right.
the bet is starting to go against America, and
Which is a
you can't
position.
bullshit your way through that forever. You can get by a day or
Exactly.
two, this and that. You can't just fake your way through an economy.
Rock. And as we know, as fellow New Yorkers, that Trump is going to bullshit his way through everything and thinks people can't see it. Right? So how's he going to, speaking of bullshitting your way through everything, how's he going to spin this at the State of the Union?
Oh
He
my
can't
God.
come out here and say the State of the Union is strong. You know, I mean, what's that crowd going to be? Well, you're going to have the bootlickers over there clapping at
Yeah, they're
everything
all
he
over there.
said.
No, he will say it. He will say it to
Right,
America. America's never been stronger. America's never been
right,
greater. America's been never been a leader. We're all about saving lives now, right? All altruistic. We're going to take care of our people first, not the world. That's what we're going to make America great again. We're going to make things here. That's why there's the tariffs. We'll get the whole crafted, we'll get the BS. He'll say it. He'll say it like he does believe it. He's a lunatic, right? He
yeah.
creates a reality in his head and he'll say it with conviction. I just don't want the Democrats in the room listening to it. I want them. I loved your idea. I saw a bunch of it out on social media today. Some other people with
Walk
similar
out.
ideas to yours about an organized walkout and doing something dramatic on live TV and
Yeah.
really, hitting
Counter
Trump where he
protest.
hurts in the ego and maybe even upstaging him a bit, having
Yeah,
like a better show than he has, to where all the buzz is
absolutely.
about what the Democrats did, not what Trump said.
Yeah, and I think that would work perfectly. And this couldn't be a better time because the wheels are coming off this joint. And Elon is still out here asking for people to justify their position in the federal government. He's still moving, even though court after court after court is ruling against him and saying that these firings are illegal. They just had a California federal court judge rule that those firings of the probationary employees were most likely illegal. So those people should be getting their jobs back. Every one of those people who he arbitrarily axed should be getting their jobs back, plus a penalty for the mental distress that they've been put under. Well, this is
Yeah.
America. We don't do this in America. The
We
fuck
know
out of
this is all the bullshit stuff that everyone's sitting there going, "Oh, fucking shitty boss asking for stupid stuff. Instead of
here.
letting
Right,
me do my job, I got to sit here and write an email that no one's going to fucking read." I
right.
just hope people come up with like some great bullshit and just make it look like every single one of them is I'm Michael Jordan of accounting, right?
Right,
Like I saved the
right,
country $10 billion through my phenomenal auditing skills.
right,
I
right.
just like do it like your first. Everyone's got to do it like that first resume when everything they did went, to believe this. And, like, and they teach you to make everything sound like you were like the
Right.
greatest thing since sliced bread. So I just hope the whole federal employment group just like totally, Donald Trumps their way to a bullshit story about how great they are. And then
Oh,
what?
no
Who's
doubt.
reading it? Who the fuck's
Right.
reading it? It's so stupid. It's just like bad boss behavior.
Oh, no doubt.
Ultimately, America, though, it continues to slow walk into decline. The world had, the Oval Office meeting kind of woke up the world to it, where they were all trying to play nice in the sandbox with
Yeah.
Trump. And now Europe's like off that wagon. Now they're just like, you guys aren't even allies anymore. We're going to get our own defense industry. We're going to stop buying from you. We're going to support Ukraine. You know,
Yep.
you with us or not with us?
And
Like,
And I'll be interested to hear what he says about Doji and about these cuts because it should be interesting. I'm not going to watch it.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
going to
not
boycott
watching either.
this State of the Union, but I'll read the excerpts on social media and on Blue Sky if anybody would like to put some up there. I'm not going to read them on Twitter. I don't even call it whatever it's named now. I can't support, you know,
I'm off the platform. I shut down my
yeah,
account, so I haven't been on
yeah,
there in a month.
it's ridiculous. It's
Um,
toxic and it's ridiculous. But the State of the Union, it'll be interesting to see how he tries to craft, all this fuckery he's been involved in for, what? Is it 40 days yet? Have we even hit 40
I mean,
days?
he'll never admit a mistake. I mean, there may be a day where he throws Musk under the bus a bit and say he went too far, so he's kept himself, arm's distance enough from it to where he can blame others if it doesn't
Right,
play out.
right.
Um, Not yet, though, right? It's too early for that. So he's just going to have to support Musk, but not give him too much credit because he doesn't want the spotlight
Right,
not to be on him. Um,
right.
and just say how much it was needed and how it's making America great again and how it's going to make everyone's lives better. Like, it'll be spun and bullshit. And, there's some,
Yeah.
Stephen Millers of the world crafting this
Stephen
message
Miller, yeah.
as we speak, right? About how much safer America is because we deported all these people you spoke about. Um,
Right.
but yeah,
Unbelievable.
we're a country in decline, and I mean, tomorrow's an important day. I really hope the Democrats are able to come strong and 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 take the stage and
Do something
rattle Trump.
for it.
And
Yeah.
they need to annoy him, rattle him, intimidate him, mock him, upstage him, some combination of that. Take the spotlight
Right.
away from him. Put him in anger mode. That's what he moves to so quickly. Induce him to show his worst self. You know,
Right.
keep letting America see
Keep
how
poking the bear.
poke the bear. But if they just show up with a federal worker that got laid off from, Columbus, Ohio, because it's a battleground state, or another, farmer from
Right.
Wisconsin, like that's not going to move the needle. That's not going to
No.
stick it in Trump's face. No one, he's not going to care. He's not going to notice. He's too self focused. You're dead on. They have to do something that disrupts him, that fucks with
Yeah.
his show
Him.
and his
Yep.
performance and his stage and his moment, right? Because it's all about him and his moment.
And we are
That's what we
desperate.
need tomorrow. And
Right.
the Democrats also need to do something that helps to rile up their army,
Right.
us, me and
Right.
you. Their army. Ultimately, we're their
Right.
foot soldiers. They need to get us out there marching at the front of the line. And they've
Yep.
gotten it's happened in pockets, but they haven't got us en masse. And they need to use
Right.
tomorrow to start moving us towards that, to empower us and um, excite us
Right.
about being a part of that, the anti
The
white supremacy
anti-Trump
movement.
coalition. Yep. Yep. That's what we need, bro.
And it has to be done in black and white, right? It
Oh,
has to be done in a
arm in
unified
arm.
fashion, arm in arm.
Arm in arm. And there's interesting. There's the real Anna Braga on Blue Sky, who is a great follow because she's former MAGA. And she said she finally came to her senses about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, I think it was. But she's a great follow because the MAGA people are so pissed and can't understand why she all of a sudden actually started finding factual information and not believing just the bullshit that they were spewing out here left and right. And she's like, that ain't true. That ain't true. And neither is that. Oh my, and then she found out it was a BS movement from the get-go. So,
Yeah.
the more people like that, we can get. I'm willing to march arm in arm with former MAGAs who have come to see the light, right? And who start to believe in science and who start to believe in the value of our democracy, right? And the fact that it should be, the shining light on top of the hill.
You're okay. You can do they need to disavow their racism full throated? Or can you, because the racism has come with the policies all along,
Right,
right?
right,
So they can art now they can see the light on the policies, but Do you need him to go a layer deeper and actually self-reflect and or acknowledge that their mindset was, quote, unfair?
Right. And Brock, that when it all came down to it, right? The evil empire doesn't give a shit, right? He asked you and me just as easily, as he took a sip of his Diet Coke or had another freaking Big Mac, right? So they don't care about us, and we, instead of looking at each other as others, we need to look at each other as human beings. And this is what I've been saying from the outset, right? We are all people, right? Now jerks come in all sizes, shapes, and colors. We know that, right? But first we are human beings, right? And we are more similar than we are not, right? Because you and I want the same thing, Brock. We want a safe neighborhood. We want good roads, right? Good housing, right? Affordable food prices. We basically want the same shit. We want affordable colleges for our kids. We want the same shit. We
But we
want
also,
women to have their
yeah,
rights.
yeah, but we also want a fair society.
A
And
fair
I
society.
want I want
That's
everyone who disavows MAGA to acknowledge that and to say that they
right,
also want a fair society and then fair to a lot of marginalized groups, right?
right,
Because America's kind of only been fair to white men, right? It
right.
hasn't been fair to Native Americans, hasn't been fair to women, hasn't been fair to Latinos, certainly hasn't been fair to
Yeah,
blacks, right? Not fair to LGBTQ, not fair to Asians. Let's go down the list, right? It's a
right.
small sliver that sort of had like you know, a fair
Well,
shake here.
and that's why we're getting rid of the history books, so we don't look back on it and figure out who has, been able to benefit the most,
It's just
right?
really important to me. It's just really important for the message, and I hope the
Yep.
Democrats who have the forum tomorrow night and have not, as we've chronicled here on this podcast, have not had a message yet
No,
for Trump
none.
2.0. Zero
Nope.
message, zero leadership, right? So maybe we see some leaders emerge. Maybe we see a message emerge tomorrow night.
Now's the
If
time.
not, huge lost opportunity, missed
No doubt.
opportunity.
Well, now's the time. All right, my friend. Another exciting episode. Down
Okay, good
again,
stuff.
down again.
We didn't even get to Andrew Cuomo throwing his hat in the ring up here in New York City.
New
But
York mayor. Yeah.
we got to do that offline. I don't think America wants to hear that mess of
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
crapshoot
Plus,
going on
plus
here.
we're in an existential threat right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cuomo can wait. We'll put him on the back burner for now.
All right, tomorrow's an important day.
Yes, sir. Same
All
bad
right.
channel, same bad time. I'll see you tomorrow, my friend.
All right. Always a pleasure. Take care, Mark.
Yes, sir.